Hello and welcome back to Clark and Addison Born into the Ivy. We are your hosts, David and Eli, and we are here to talk more about the Cubs. I ended up not getting on here and talking about Imai like I initially had planned on after he signed because, frankly, I was just incredibly frustrated by the fact that they didn't sign him. But I'm glad that I've taken time to, to before I reacted to it because I've gone through some emotions. But we'll talk more about him here in a minute. I want to lead off about Nico Hoerner. There's still more talk about Hoerner possibly being traded. The Giants and the Yankees are both interested in wanting the right-handed bat, a guy who could play really good in defense. The Yankees supposedly, possibly, may want him for shortstop even, and moving Volpe somewhere else, which
Yeah,
I
Volpe
found interesting.
sucks.
I think Volpe is, yeah, I mean, he's definitely not the same defensively.
Right.
So I can understand their interest in that. To the Cubs' credit, most of this is coming from other teams and reporters who are saying that other teams are interested and not so much the Cubs interested in trading him. But the fact that they are listening so much is starting to bother me. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
get listening but not listening, if that makes sense. Like, hey
Mm-hmm.
man, you willing to give us a crazy deal? I mean, Nico only makes 11.5 million. That's pretty paltry in comparison to what he can and should be making. I think, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I
Easily.
mean, since 2022, Nico Hoerner is 17th of all players who are eligible for this. It's like 340 or something, maybe more, in WAR, which is wins above replacement. That's the top 5% of baseball. He
I
had
saw
one
that
bad
stat
year
too.
in 24. And even his bad year wasn't terrible, man. It just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't what Nico normally does.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He was still really good defensively. Like this guy is good to like great to amazing defensively. And he puts the bat on the ball. The Cubs right now, Ballesteros is still a wild card. I think that he's gonna be a great guy for that, putting bat on the ball. I mean, there's no way to guarantee that yet at this point because we haven't seen enough of it.
They need to put a no trade clause on him, like they did Ian.
Yeah, well, let's not put it on Ian though next time. But I do like the idea of having Nico like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Nico Hoerner, well, one, he's such a fan favorite, and
Right.
rightfully so. I I worry unless you're throwing in the towel for 2025 or 2026 season, which will piss me off in a whole different way. I just don't understand. Or unless they're planning on signing Bo Bichette, you know what I mean?
Huh.
But even then, I don't like it. What do you think? You stayed pretty quiet through this for the most part. Do my
It's
reading.
just very frustrating. You know how upset I was when the Giants were talking about him a couple weeks ago. Like again, hearing it more and more, it just makes me a little angry.
I don't like it one bit.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't have Bo Bichette over him. I wouldn't have anybody in the league over him.
I don't disagree. I I don't like Bregman that much. I don't like Bichette. I don't like. I'm with you. I don't like anybody who's out there right now enough to trade Nico Horner.
I wouldn't even care if they moved Tatis to second base. I still wouldn't like it more.
Do you like any of them enough to trade Matt Shaw?
I wouldn't trade Matt Shaw.
Would it depend on what the return is?
Yeah, but I think I'm pretty set on Matt Shaw.
I'm excited about Shaw too, I really think that he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to
I
bounce
think so
back,
too.
but I can understand the thoughts. of like let's say we get like a Mackenzie Gore or an Edward Cabrera or somebody like that. You know what I mean? Out of the master
Mm-hmm.
trade. I can understand doing that. I don't understand trading Nico here.
Right.
I just don't. So speaking of Bregman, supposedly the Red Sox are still very interested in him and even willing to sign him. And this is just a ballpark idea. This is, I think it was Ken Rosenthal who put this out there. The Tigers had last year offered him something like 6 years at 170 or something. And the Red Sox are somewhat interested in possibly doing that. If that happens, there's no way the Cubs sign him, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't care.
And I don't think they should. Like, if they're going to put forth that kind of money, go get Bo Bichette
Mm-hmm.
for a hit. He's 5 years younger. He's, I think, going to be better. It's the same mold. I think Bo Bichette and, frankly, Alex Bregman make the team much better right now. But I think Bichette makes the team much better in 2032. Take that, Carter Hawkins. But you know what I mean? 5 years from now, Alex Bregman is not going to make the team better. I'm not convinced he's going to 3 years from now.
I don't think he'll make the team much better. I feel like it's yeah. I'd much rather have Bo Bichette
I think he makes the
coming
team
from an
better
injury.
on paper
Mm-hmm.
this year, but I'm not convinced it's going to make the team better in reality. Do the Cubs need another starting pitcher? They struck out on Amai. We'll talk a little more about that. But do you think that the Cubs need another starting pitcher? And if so, should they get him via free agency or trade, or what do you think they're going to do? Their current starting pitching options are Matthew Boyd, Cade Horton, Jameson Tyone, Colin Ray, Javier Assad, Shota Imanaga, and Justin Steele still on the IL. He'll be there probably through May, I'm guessing. So you got 6 other guys to start the year. Injuries happen, like nobody knows what's going to happen. Ben Brown is also a possibility, and or Jordan Wicks. I don't think those are good possibilities. I don't think those are good options. So are we comfortable with the other 6 right now if they don't sign somebody else?
That's a really tough question. I think, honestly, that the Cubs would be fine without getting another starter.
With those 6?
Mm-hmm. I think that all of them, Javier Assad started a few games last year too, and he didn't do too bad.
He didn't do bad, but I wasn't pleased. Though.
What would please you from Javier Assad, though?
I like Javi Assad,
Mm-hmm.
but he makes me so nervous.
Mm-hmm. But
Because
again, when you bring up,
he's always flirting with trouble.
huh?
But generally, he's darn good with it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he gets out of it most of the time. And I feel comfortable with him getting out of it a lot. But when that wind is blowing out, it makes me nervous.
But then when you bring up the injuries and like bringing up Ben Brown, that's when I start scratching my head because Ben Brown stinks.
So Colin can go to the bullpen. Javi could go to AAA if need be.
Mm-hmm.
Which frankly is where I think Ben Brown probably ends up starting out,
Good.
and Wicks for sure, unless one of them are traded. And I still think that's a possibility. I think Javier Assad could end up possibly being in a trade at some point. That's a possibility to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brown, of those 3, Brown is by far the best higher upside of the 3, bar none. Whether you think so or not, like I truly believe he is, and I think a lot of other do, and I think a lot of executives, MLB executives, would agree
Mm-hmm.
with that. Part of that is because of his velocity. Part of that is because of the movement on his pitches. The problem is getting that consistency with that movement because he doesn't have the consistency with it. That's why he got shelled last year. But if we had the Ben Brown of 2 years ago before he got, well, they found out he had cancer and he had surgery and ended the season, I'd be pretty damn excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
That Ben Brown could make a huge difference. And I also still think I maintain that they just need to put him in the bullpen and see what happens. Because I think he could be a dominant bullpen guy. And I mean dominant.
I mean, I don't.
Valencia went 3 years up and down, and finally it clicked for the guy.
I don't totally disagree with Ben Brown in the bullpen, but I just don't think he's a starting guy.
I do, but I would prefer just to go to the bullpen route.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially if he's not going to develop a true changeup. It is a rare pitcher to be able to have just 2 pitches and succeed greatly in the major leagues. It's just, I think it's asking too much of him or of most players, not just him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think Ben Brown's got some of the nastiest stuff on the whole pitching staff, in the whole organization. He just doesn't. He has not developed that consistency of it. So he's had a whole year now of being under Tyler Zombro, though, who's the guru of the pitching in the organization now, and I think that could make dramatic things for him. But I don't think that we should count on him possibly being able to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
At all. I think that's a horrible idea, frankly. And I think it's very possible he starts out in AAA, Daniel Palencia, and comes up and is dominant at some point. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful of that. Again, I don't think that's something we should count on right now, though. I would love to see them sign one more pitcher, starting pitcher, and or a bullpen guy. And I think that there's a plethora of possibilities out there. Guys who have upside but weren't necessarily great. I like the idea of Chris Bassett. He is 37 though, but he pitched incredibly well last year for the Blue Jays. I'm excited about that possibility. Framber Valdez is still out there. Ranger Suarez. Zach Gallen makes the most sense to me, I think, especially if they could get him. He's projected at 2 years, $44 million. If they could get him at 2 years, like $36 million, I think that would be fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would excite me because of the discount, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Colombe is a high velocity pitcher, relief pitcher that pitched with the Twins last year. Depending on price and everything, he would interest me. Sir Anthony Dominguez, another relief pitcher who was with the Blue Jays. Pierce Johnson, who was a Cubs prospect. He doesn't have some of that velocity, but it's still higher than what a lot of the Cubs guys do. But he interests me as well. And there was one more. Who was it? Dang it. I don't see it right now. Michael Kopech. We talked about him early on in the offseason. I think it might have been the first offseason episode that we did that I had brought him up. He is not if they sign him, they need to sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal because he's probably not going to be healthy until at least August, if not later. You know what I mean? For this year.
Yeah.
But that dude was lights out when he was with the Dodgers the last couple of years before he got hurt. And I think there's zero reason not to expect that at some point again.
Yeah, that guy does have high velo.
Not somebody to count on for most of this year.
Isn't he bullpen?
Yeah, Michael
Closer?
Kopech. Yeah. He could come that dude would be amazing to have on our team.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still those are guys that I think you could get at decent deals, but have possibility for high upside like a Hunter Harvey, just hopefully cheaper than what they got Hunter Harvey at. I still don't like that, how much they paid him. Excited about the guy, don't like what they paid him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would love to see them still sign a starting pitcher, but I would, if it's one or the other, I'd rather see them go get a guy like Bo Bichette. I just don't think either's going to happen at this point, to be honest.
I don't either. I think the Cubs are probably going to sit where they're at.
Maybe make a few small signings, but nothing major.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm expecting. Sadly, because that really disappoints me if that's what's going to happen. Disappoints / angers, to be honest. Just that's a whole ball game that we'll talk more about maybe on the next episode because the payroll and attendance and all that stuff, and I'm really starting to get pissed off again with the damn owner. I'm not even going to say his name. Edward Cabrera is still tied to the Cubs and Giants who are interested in him, but I don't think that the Cubs have enough prospects, nor do I think they should trade what it might take to get Edward Cabrera. He's got 3 more years left of club control. I get that. But what people are wanting for these starting pitchers and stuff right now is insane to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Yankees and Marlins are talking pretty heavy right now. I think he probably ends up going there. But I don't trust that he'll stay healthy. Not for the prospect value you got to give up for the guy. I don't know. I think if it's what they're reporting, Cubs just need to be out on that, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still holding out hope that they go get Sandy Alcantara. I mean, I think I made a pretty compelling case for that.
Yeah, I agree. He loves Sandy Alcantara.
I'm telling you, man, he is going to be a Cy Young candidate this year. Wherever he's at, be it Miami, Chicago, anywhere. Wherever he ends up at, he's going to be a Cy Young candidate. I truly believe that. I saw, he got better and better, and I'm telling you, he's back to his form. The Tatsuka Amai debacle, in my opinion. At least that was my initial thoughts. The Astros came in. Man, I didn't hear a single report about the Houston Astros being involved with this guy until they signed him. 3 years, $54 million with $3 million in incentives for all 3 years. However, he can opt out after each year of the first 2 years. $18 million a year could go up to $21 million at 63 total. It sounds like a great value to me. You did not like the value though, correct?
Correct.
Because of too much unknown with him, right?
Too much unknown, yeah.
I think his game will translate well. But Houston's not as good of a pitching park as Wrigley in Chicago. And so we'll see how it goes. I did hear somebody earlier today talking about comparing Gallon and Imai, and they think Gallon could have a better year than Imai. And so I'm going to be really curious to find out if they do, even if Gallon doesn't sign with the Cubs, because I think they need to sign somebody. I'd like to see them sign. I don't think they need to. I'd like to see them sign another starting pitcher, but I don't think they're going to sign a starter and more for the offense. So, but the more I've thought about it, the more I understand why the Cubs didn't sign him because of the opt-out years. I don't think there's a ton of upside for the team that way, and because they're gonna if he pitches really well, or even pretty well, he's opting out and going to make more money, and he could go anywhere then. And so I get why they probably that I'm guessing that was the sticking point, the opt out year after the first year, and I can understand that. If he had been willing to opt out only after the second year and not the first year too, I'd be mad that they didn't sign him still for that amount. You know what I mean?
Right.
But although I still think it was good value, really good value, I lean more towards you, and I'm kind of glad they didn't sign him for what they did for that contract. You know what I mean? But I
Right.
would
You
have been happy with
just
22 million a year.
uh huh.
Like I would have been happy with that. So when I first
I
saw him,
just
man, I
think
was
that's
pretty
way
mad.
too high. That's way too high still.
I don't think it is, but I also don't. I think that it doesn't. It helps the Astros now, possibly, but I'd rather sign somebody like Valdez for higher.
We'll see how he does in the World Baseball Classics.
He's not pitching there. He's not pitching in
Really?
Japan in that. Yeah,
Why?
I was
They
surprised by
say.
that. That's no, I'm not. He may have said I didn't. All I saw was the headline.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. Thank you very much for listening to us. You got anything else, buddy? Thank you very much for listening. Everybody have a great day. We will be back at some point.
When
Probably not
something
too
good
long, but
happens.
yeah. Yeah, unless something crazy happens, we'll be on pretty quick. Just do a quick little blurb together with it. But I may be on tomorrow to do a top 15 list. But I'll post that if I do and let everybody know. But Eli and I'll be back again. Everybody have a great day. Let's go Cubs.
Go Cubbies.